Our story tonight is going to be an eye opener. Just stay with me and watch till the end because this is just an insight into what many hearts silently live through. He didn't need to shout to hurt you, he only needed to make you question what you saw, what you felt, what you knew. At first, you called it misunderstanding, later, you called it your fault. But now, looking back, you know it was control wearing kindness. He found you at a time when your heart craved gentleness. He listened more than he spoke, remembered little details, and told you, I like how you see the world. It sounded safe until the day you noticed he didn't like when you saw him clearly. You asked simple questions, he gave complicated answers. When you remind him of what he has said, he smiled. You always mix things up, don't you? You laughed then, but that small laugh was the first time you silenced truth to keep peace. One day roses, next day silence, a love note, then a cold stare. He fed you praise and punishment in the same breath until you stopped asking which version of him was real. When you questioned the distance, he said, you're just anxious. You always imagine things. That line became his key, and every time you doubted him, he used it to lock you out of your own mind. At dinner, he flirted with the waitress, softly, confidently, as if you weren't there. When you mentioned it later, he sighed. Why do you always see problems that don't exist? You apologized. But as you lay beside him that night, the apology tasted like betrayal, your own. He never forbade you to wear something. He just suggested what was more appropriate. He didn't ban your friends. He simply said, they don't really celebrate you. Soon, your wardrobe changed, your circle shrank, your laughter lowered its voice, and when people said, you are glowing, you smiled, because performance has replaced personality. At a friend's gathering, he joked, she can't cook to save her life. Everyone laughed. Later, you said quietly, that hurt. He answered, you're too sensitive. Lighten up. You realized he never needed to raise his hand. Humiliation was his favorite weapon. Arguments never ended with shouting, only silence. Hours of it, days. You begged him to talk. You stared past you whispered, I'm sorry. For what? You no longer knew. That was the night you understood you weren't in a relationship. You were in a classroom where love was graded and you kept failing. A counselor listened to your story and said calmly, that is gaslighting. You blinked. It sounded too clinical for something that hurt this quietly, but she explained, when someone makes you doubt reality, they steal your peace first, then your reflection. You left that session shaking, not from fear, but from recognition. You weren't broken, you were conditioned. He came home with flowers and smiled. I have missed us, he said. You wanted to believe him, but his phone buzzed. A message from a name you didn't know, a heart emoji at the end. You looked up, he saw your eyes. He laughed softly. You are starting again, always suspicious. You replied, I'm not suspicious, I am awake. And for the first time, he went silent. You didn't leave dramatically. You packed slowly, spoke gently, and walked away from the version of yourself that had to shrink to fit his love. At first, the quiet felt empty, then it felt holy. You began journaling truths again, dates, moments, what that actually happened. Each entry stitched back a piece of your memory. Days later, you looked in the mirror. For the first time in years, you didn't search your face for his approval. You simply said, I believe me, and that sentence was freedom. Now, these are the truths into my stories. 1. Gaslighting isn't about shouting, it is about rewriting what is real. 2. Silence can wound deeper than words. 3. Control wrapped in care is still control. 4. You don't need evidence to live, confusion is evidence. 5. Love that demands your doubt isn't love at all. Now, if you ever find yourself here, when every apology starts with, I know I overreacted, you just have to pause. That is not growth, that is grooming. When your peace depends on their mood, step back. When your reflection looks like a stranger, it is time to walk toward yourself again. Choosing you isn't selfish, it is sacred. Now, the story you just heard is written and produced by Pastor Chris Norah. And if this story opened your eyes, don't scroll in silence. Comment, I choose clarity, because healing begins when truth gets a voice. Subscribe to Echoes of Our Tears, where real stories remind women that peace isn't silence, it is freedom.